In the previous video, we have seen the retain all method, which is for retaining the common elements between two lists and remove everything else. So this is completed. In this video, we will see how to create list of lists and access the elements. So how to create list of lists? So far we have created one array list, like a list of integers or a list of strings. So let's say I'll say Subbu Selenium. So this is a list of strings. For example, I want to create a list of lists, something like this. Subbu Selenium, and then another list, Java tutorials. And here if you see, this is one list and this is another list, and these two lists are in a different list. So this is a list of lists. So how do we create a list of lists? Normally we create a single list like this. Let's say I want to create an array list of strings. So I'll say array list of string. I'll give a name to this one, like AL equals to new array list of string and then brackets. But let's say I want to create this list of lists which have string elements in the internal list. So how to create that one? So this is easy. We want to create a list of lists. So let's say an array list of array list. So array list, and then in this angular brackets we will say another array list, and these internal lists are of string type. So we will say string and close the angular brackets and give a name to this list of lists. So I'll say ALL array list of array list equals to I'll say new array list of, again this is array list, and this internal list is of string type. So string and close the angular brackets and then these brackets and semicolon. So this is how we can create an array list of array lists. But normally when we create a list of lists, or when we are creating an object for a class which is implemented from an interface, then we will do it something like this. Let's say I am creating, let's say array list. Okay, this array list I am creating. Okay, so instead of doing it like array list of string, we will directly say that list of string. So I will say list of string AL equals to new array list of string. So instead of doing it like array list of string, we will say that it's a list of string. That means we are creating an object for the class array list AL which is of the type interface list. So this is how we do it normally when we are creating objects for a class that are implemented from an interface. So why do we do this? Why do we create an object of the type interface other than the class itself? The reason is mainly to make the code easier. Let me explain you this one. So let's say I have created an array list using the class name itself. So array list. So I'll say string AL equals to new array list of string and then brackets. So here we have created an object for the class ArrayList of the type class only. So this is of the type this object is of the type ArrayList class. Now let's say in my code I have developed different methods where I am passing this object AL. Okay, let's say I have created a method test1 and I am passing this object AL. Okay, test2 AL. Okay, these are the classes in a different class, methods in a different class. So I call those methods by passing this object AL. Now I have implemented some methods within this same class itself, saying, let's say, like method 1. So I have to say, in order to call this method, I need to pass an array list. So I'll say array list. I'll give some name as AL1. Similarly, method 2 array list AL2, something like this. So I have created a lot of methods like this, which takes a list, which is an array list. Similarly, I am calling other methods where I have to pass the array list object. Okay. Let's say in future I came to know that I should not use this array list, but I have to use a linked list. So what I have to do is I have to change everything here. I have to change this array list to linked list, and I have to change in this methods also that I have to pass array list, not array list but linked list. So I have to change the code at a lot of places. Similarly, in future again, if I come to know that I should not use a linked list also, but I should use a different list, then again I have to change this one from linked list to that different list, and I have to change all the methods also. So this causes a lot of trouble when we actually when we really do programming. So instead of creating an object like this, what we can do is we can create an object of the type interface itself. So we can say list of string AL equals to new array list of string, and I will also change these methods as I'll directly say list here and list here. So let's say in future I come to know that instead of array list I have to use a linked list. Then what I can do is I can just change only this one to a linked list, and I don't need to change anything else, because anyhow we are passing a list here. We have specified the methods parameters as list instead of array list or linked list. So I don't need to change anything else. I just need to change only this one to a linked list. That's why when we are creating objects for classes which are implemented from interfaces, we create the objects of the type interface only instead of the class. So that is the reason we use a list here instead of the class name array list. So now the similar concept applies for list of lists also. Previously we have created an array list of array list like this, array list of array list string, and name of the array list equals to new array list of array list. So instead of doing this, what we can do is we will say list of list, and this is of the type string, and then I'll give a name to this one, AL1 equals to new, I'll say array list here of list of string. So this is what we can do. Instead of writing like array list of array list, we will say list of list string equals to new array list of string. So let's see this one more time. So list of lists, how to create a list of lists? Normally, let's say we have a list here. So the list is Subbu Selenium. So this is a list of strings. This is one list. But let's say I have two lists. One is Subbu Selenium and another one is Java tutorials. And these two lists are in another list. So this is a list of lists. So how to create a list of lists? Normally we will create a list of strings like this, array list of string, and the name of the array list equals to new array list of string. Similarly, to create a list of lists, what we have to do is, let's say I want to create an array list of array lists. So I will say array list of string. Because this internal list is of the type string, we will specify it as array list of string and a name to the array list of array list. So ALL equals to new array list of string. So this is how we can create a list of lists. But normally when we are creating objects of the classes which are implemented from an interface, what we do is, instead of using the class name here, we will use the interface name. So instead of saying array list, let's say I'm creating a single array list. So instead of saying array list, we will directly say that list of string and name of the array list equals to new array list of string. So what is the reason why we use an interface name here instead of using a class name? This is to make the code easier. So let me explain more about that, what it means by making the code easier. Let's say I have created an array list like this. Okay, I am using the class name here. So array list of string AL equals to new array list of the string. Okay, so and within programming, I have developed a lot of methods. One is where I am calling another class method, a different class method, test1 AL and test2 AL, where I have to pass these objects, array list objects. Similarly, within the same class, so let's say this is in the same class. So within the same class, I have developed some methods where to call these methods, I have to pass the array list. So I have to specify it as array list AL1, and similarly for method 2 array list AL2. Like this, I have developed a lot of methods. But let's say in future I came to know that I have to use a linked list instead of this array list. So what I have to do is, I have to change it like linked list string equals to new linked list of string. And again, I have to change these methods also, because I have specified it as here array list AL1. So I have to change it to linked list AL1, linked list AL2. Like this, I have to change all these methods. And again, in future, I came to know that I should not use linked list also, but I have to use a different list. So again, I have to come here and change the names again from linked list to the different list. So the other list of string is equal to new other list of string, and again I have to come here and I have to change all these things from this linked list to a different list and this linked list to a different list. Like this, I have to change all the values in all the methods. So in order to avoid those problems, what we normally do is, we will create an object for the same class, whether array list or linked list, but this is of the type interface. That means we will give the interface name here. So instead of creating like array list of string or linked list of string, we will directly say that list of string AL equals to whatever the list it is, array list or linked list of string. And the methods also will change them to, instead of saying array list or linked list, we will directly say list. And similarly, all the methods will change it to list AL1, list AL2, like this. So let's say in future, if we want to change this from array list to linked list, I don't need to change in all places. In just only this place I can change it, because anyhow we mentioned here in these methods that these are lists. That means these objects are of the type list. So I don't need to change anything else. Only at this place I have to change it from array list to linked list or whatever the list it is. So that's the reason we create objects of the type interface instead of creating objects of the type class itself. So similarly, we can apply the same concept for creating list of lists also. So we can say list of string AL1 equals to new array list of string. So this is how we can create a list of strings. So let's see an example for that one. So I'm creating a new class here. So new class, I'm saying it as list of lists. The name is list of lists, and I'm using the main method. And here what I will do is, I will create a list of string first. So I'll say list of string, and I will give the name as LL equals to new ArrayList of string, and then close this one. Okay, now I have to import an ArrayList. So ArrayList is imported, and I have to import list as well. So list from java.util. So I have imported ArrayList and list. Okay, there is only one bracket here. So okay, now I have created a list of lists. So now I have to add elements to this list of lists. So for that one, what I will do is, first I will create an array list, another array list. So this is of list of string. I'll say AL1 equals to new array list of string, and I will add some elements to this one. AL1 dot add Subbu, and then I will add Selenium. Okay, now I have added two elements to this list AL1. Now I will add this list AL1 to this list LL. So I will say LL dot add all of AL1. That means I am adding the second list to the first list. So there is an error it is throwing. It is saying the method add all is not applicable for arguments of list of string. Oh, sorry, we should not use add all method, but we can directly use add method, because this is okay, add method, because this list is like a element for this list of lists. So we can directly use add method instead of using add all. Now I have added one list to another list. Now let us say I would like to add another list to this one. So I'll just copy this one and I'll change the element names. So instead of saying like, I'll take it as AL2, and I'm creating a second list actually, AL2, and I'll say AL2 and LL.AL2, and I'll change the strings also Java and tutorials. So now I am adding a second list which contains Java and tutorials. Now let's print the second list. So system.out.println LL. So I can directly print the list LL. Now let's run this one, list of lists. Run as Java application. And you can see that the list of lists is printed. The first list is Subbu Selenium and the second list is Java tutorials. So this way we can create list of lists in Java. Let's say I would like to access the individual elements like Subbu and Selenium. So for this one we can use a for loop like for int I equals to 0 and I is less than the size of the list of lists. So LL dot size and then I plus plus. So now I'll say system.out.println, and what I can do is ll.get of I. So get of I dot get of 0. So I'll get the first element, and for getting the second element I'll say get of 1. So let's understand these two statements. So when I say I equals 0, I is less than ll dot size. So this size returns 2 here. 2 means this list of lists, it contains like two lists. This is first list and this is second list. So ll dot size will return me 2. Once I get 2 here, then I equals to 0, I value becomes 0 and 1 because I is less than ll dot size. So I value becomes 0 and 1. So first what I have to do is I have to go into this first list and then I have to get the first element. So I can go into the first list using this list of list name dot get of I. That means if I say ll dot get of I, then when I value becomes 0, then it goes to the first list. Similarly, when I value becomes 1, ll dot get of 1, it goes to the second list. Now let's say I am in the first list. Okay, I value is 0. So ll dot get of 0, it goes to the first list. Now I have to get the first element from this one. So the first element I can get it by using again dot get of 0. So 0 means I will get Subbu, and again 1 means I get Selenium. So 1 means I get Selenium. Similarly, when the I value becomes 1, I come to this here, and then again dot get of 0 dot get of 1, I will get Java and tutorial. So let's run this one. Run as Java application, and you can see that I am getting the elements Selenium, Subbu, Selenium, Java, tutorials. So in this way we can create a list of lists in Java. In this video we have seen how to create list of lists in Java and how to use them. If you want to download the document for this one, you can go to my repository at github.com/subbustack and then go to selenium-java-tutorials. This particular document starts with numbering 23F. So search with 23F and you can find the document here, which is collections framework-list of lists. You can download this document. In the next video we will see how to sort a list in Java.